So I'm going to teach you how to solve the 2x2 today. So this isn't the full-on beginner's method. This is just the 3x3 beginner's method and the 2x2 beginner method mashed together. So here's what I decided to create. So first we're going to learn notation. So basically notation is how you turn the cube in algorithms, which is what I went over in some of my last videos. But whenever you see just a letter, so basically this is R. This is R. This is L. This is U, this is B, and then this is D, and then this is F, just like that. So I think you got that. And basically, if you see a letter and then you see a little dash next to it, like on this here, basically if you see a little dash next to it, if you see basically a little dash next to it, that means prime, which is basically turning it the inverse way, which is like this. So this is R prime, this is U prime, this would be L prime, F prime, I don't really remember B prime, but B prime, and D prime. So that is basically that is it. I'm going to turn my camera down. There you go. There we go. But yeah, that is basically notation. Now, first, we're going to scramble up our 2x2. It's hard to see the colors because of the sun. So I'm just going to turn over here a little bit. Oops, you can see my microphone. We don't need to see that. So here we go. So first what you're going to want to do is try to solve the first layer. So just like the 3x3, see this is going to line up. You can see this corner is going to line up with this one. So we're going to do this algorithm. R prime, D prime, R, D. So just keep doing that. It's R prime, D prime, R, D. So that's basically what you're going to do. So it's R prime, D prime, R, D. So you're going to keep doing that until it gets in the correct spot. And there you go. Now it is in there. So now we're going to find another edge piece. So you see this one can go up here by doing R prime, D prime, R, D. So we're just going to do it. R prime, D prime, R, D. And there we go. Now it is in there. So here's the last corner. So we're going to line it up. So you see it's not going to line up here. Not here, or yeah, here it's going to line up here, but that's going to mess up this, but we're going to do that algorithm. So R prime, D prime, R, D. Keep doing that. It's really simple. R prime, D prime, R, D. I'll give you a second to write it down, but it's just R prime, D prime, R, D. Also, when you're doing R prime, D prime, R, D, and you line it up, you're always going to want to hold it on the right slot. So you can see this is where you're going to want to hold it. You're not going to hold it to left. It's always going to be in the right slot, and that's where you do the algorithm. So R prime, D prime, R, D. And there you go. Now you have the first layer. So that is basically what you're going to do. And now let's move on to the next algorithm. So what you're going to do now is you're going to do R prime, D prime, R, D again. So here we go. So we can do it up here with the corners, just like the end of the 3x3. So we're going to line them up, put it in the right slot up here, and do R prime, D prime, R, D again. Just like that. And then we're going to do a U2. And you don't rotate it now. You just do, basically, you just move it. And we're going to do R prime, D prime, R, D for the last time. R prime, D prime, R, D. And then let's do it one more time. R prime, D prime, R, D. And there you go. You can see it didn't mess up this bottom layer here, and then it solved the top layer. So now there's two cases you can get. You can get this case, or you can get a different case. So if you get this case, you can hold it from any angle, and you're going to do an algorithm which is called the T-perm. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So basically what you're going to do for the T-perm is just R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. And that is the T-perm, and I'm going to show you the second case. So the second case is where you're just going to have this bar here. So you're going to hold it off to the left, and you're going to do that algorithm one more time. So it's R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. Make sure to hold it correctly or it's not going to solve. And there we go. So those are all the steps. So I'm going to teach you the steps. So the first step where you're solving the first layer is basically just the first layer. The second step is called OLL, and the T perm, which is this, which is RU, R prime, U prime thing, that is called PLL. So that is pretty much, so yeah, that is basically how you solve the 2x2. And yeah, anyways, that's pretty much this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!